What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of 100 Yards Football Sports Talk Radio. I'm your host and producer, Logan Landers, and join me here today to talk about the NFL legend, the guy that the trophy is named after, everyone's trying to achieve, Mr. Vince Lombardi, head coach, of course, for the Green Bay Packers. Help me out talking about this amazing head coach is my guy, Jay McLovin from the Elite Sports and Entertainment Network. Jay, how's it going, my man? And let me know what you think. What you learned about Vince Lombardi and doing your research today.
Yeah, I'm doing fine, Logan. Appreciate you asking. And let's be honest, if you get a trophy named after you, the highest trophy in a sport named after you, that just already tells you that you're somebody that everybody's going to know. You know Vince Lombardi, he obviously died in 1970 of cancer, which is obviously sad when we lost him. That was actually 2 years before I was born. And again, that's when the trophy actually became named after him, is once he passed away. They honored him by doing that. Vincent Thomas Lombardi was coach and executive in the NFL. He was a coach for the Packers, and then he also became an executive at the NFL level. So I thought that was executive in the NFL, I should say. He had 3 straight out of 5 straight championship appearances, which is crazy, Logan. So out of 7 years, out of 5 years, he won at 3.
Yeah.
And in 7 years, he had won 2 Super Bowls along with that. So his first 2 Super Bowls came in 66 and 67, which were obviously the first 2 Super Bowls ever. So he is the founder of the first Super Bowl. And believe it or not, he went undrafted in 1937. So he tried to play, but went undrafted. He went on to then coach Army for a while, and then he went on to coach the Giants as an offensive coordinator. But did you know, Logan, that before he retired or before he passed away, he was actually the Redskins coach? I didn't know he was. I did not know that. I learned that today. He was a Redskins coach in 1969. He was the head coach and general manager, which I thought was interesting. 2-time coach of the year, and he's NFL 100 all-time team record. So this guy, 96, 34, and 6 with a 73.8% winning percent. That's incredible. And to top it all off, he was 9-1 in the postseason. I don't know how much better you get than that, Logan, but I'm going to tell you right now, I did not know that he was a coach for the Washington Redskins for a year.
Yeah, you really just think about his time with Green Bay, and rightfully so, but he was also just, when you look at Lombardi, right? Overall, in his career, I found this stat, right? So this is including the postseason, but also just getting rid of exhibition games. As a head coach, Vince Lombardi went 105, 35, and 6. For a winning percentage of 740, for God's sake. The guy didn't lose much. He hated losing. So, like I said, never suffered a losing season. Packers, as we know, won 3 NFL championships through 65, through 67. Feat that had only been happened once in the league. And when you look at this team, right, of course, we know the Ice Bowl. Jay, you know the Ice Bowl very well. Packers and Cowboys back in 67, negative 13 degrees, that legendary game. And as we, of course, Bart Starr, the whole thing there. But when you look at Lombardi as a coach, right, he came into a team that at that point, man, wasn't in the best shape.
Right.
The Packers were not good when he took this team over. They went 1-10-1 the season prior. Players weren't happy. No one was happy. Green Bay fans were not showing up. It was looking very woeful as a Packers fan. But as you mentioned, Lombardi took over the role as head coach and GM of the Packers, which was huge. He said, this is a quote. He says, "I want it understood that I am in complete command here." Kind of a just ruled with an iron fist. But it worked, Jay.
Oh, yeah.
It worked. It worked.
You know some of the best quotes he had too, Logan? He had one where it said, "Perfection is not attainable. But if we chase perfection, we can achieve excellence."
Man, ruled with an iron fist, commanded respect wherever he went. But hey, the results speak for themselves, as we're saying. So just to do this 180, right? In 58, the Packers went 1-10-1, as I mentioned. In 59, They improved to 7-5. That's a really good turnaround on just one season. He's also named Coach of the Year, rightfully so, as a rookie head coach in the league.
Yeah.
Kind of like
when you go from a losing record to a winning record in one season, yeah.
It kind of reminds me, Jay, in a little bit of a sense of what we're seeing right now with the Houston Texans. A team who didn't do much, and then they just went on a really good run. But Vince Lombardi was a really good coach, man. He got that team turned around. Most importantly, he got the fans back in the stadium.
Right.
Because we know that pretty much every single Packers game is sold out. It's tough to get into. I mean, those are some of the most dedicated fans out there for sure. And it's thanks in part to this guy. You see on the screen we're talking about today because of what he did to get that team back in shape. I mean, like I said, they won the Western Conference title in 1960, his second year as head coach. First time they'd done that in nearly 15 years. Coached the Packers to win 9 postseason games in a row, which was a streak that hadn't been matched or broken, Jay, till Bill Belichick a little bit later on.
Right.
So just a tremendous player, a tremendous coach. And like I said, the only other postseason loss that this guy had for the most part was against the St. Louis Cardinals. It's weird saying that for football. Like I said, third place in the playoff bowl. All these terms don't have any more. That was after 1964. But a guy who's got championships and whose name is he is named for the championship now. That's how good he was. There's not a whole lot more you can say about how well he was, how good, his legacy. It still continues, Jay. We know his grandson, Joe Lombardi, he's currently with the Denver Broncos right now as an offensive coordinator. So a guy who ruled with that iron fist, right? Who just got it going and was really just a legendary head coach when you think of top head coaches in football. Lombardi was just tremendous. And a guy who did a lot of stuff good off the field as well. And just overall, just a tremendous coach and a legend in every sense of the word. Guys,
real quick, before you get out here, what do you think? How do you think Vince Lombardi's tactic of I am in command, I am in total command of this team, how do you think that verbiage would go in today's NFL locker rooms with all the divas that we have now compared to what he had to deal with back in the 60s?
He'd probably be getting in fist fights with people.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking he's going there and open up a can of whoop ass.
Yeah, very well could. Definitely a guy who didn't take anything.
Yeah, he honestly really did not. And Vince Lombardi, I'm telling you, man, I think that's really what the NFL need is more Vince Lombardi attitudes. The problem is you got so many. The NFL is so centered around the divas of the quarterbacks. They're the guys that are making all the money that. They've kind of gotten away from what Vince, grew up in and when he was in the NFL. It's crazy. Right. And then think about this too. Think about the time that he coached in. He coached at a time when Vietnam was going on. He had Bay of Pigs going on with Cuban Missile Crisis. I mean, you had all kinds of upheaval where really, honestly, sports was probably one of the few things that probably put a light in somebody's life because it had been pretty hard during that time period,
No doubt about it, man. No doubt about that. But Vince Lombardi, some might say he's a little bit strict in how he coached, but the results speak for themselves, Jay. He got championships, and ultimately everyone's chasing after what trophy is that? The Lombardi. The Lombardi trophy. So I think that's all we have to say. If you guys like the video, give us a like, follow, share, and subscribe. And until next time, we'll talk to you again on another